As part of the 10-year anniversary celebration of Valerie's house, some of the staff have taken it upon themselves to find, back in the archives, some of these original photos from the first few group nights of Valerie's house. And this is the first time I'm seeing them in quite a while. I remember this little girl in particular who came to Valerie's house. She had lost her dad. And I remember this was the original teddy bear library that, as many of you know, we still have at the Family is Forever home today, on that same concept that on the first night, each child would get to pick a bear and would be able to feel that kind of love. I remember this family, Sammy, she's actually in college now, getting ready to go into college. They had lost dad. Her mom was a nurse. And Punta Gorda, this was a Punta Gorda family who would drive all the way to downtown Fort Myers. And then this was a closing. It's funny to see the closing circle, how small it was compared to like what we have now. I can see some teens, I can see some middles. This little girl here in the green, her dad was one of our board members, and she was from our founding board, and she was driving all the way from Naples to our downtown facility in Fort Myers. Yeah, having some fun here for sure in that closing circle. They're gonna make me cry. This picture, do you want to come around to the front, Justin, too? This photo, um, is amazing. This photo is really special. This is one of our very first families. Brent and I'm not gonna be able to get through this. Cameron, who is now 17, and her brother Ryder, and I actually mentored Cameron before Valerie's house started, and this was one of the families that inspired Valerie's house because they had lost mom, and I knew that they didn't have a place to go. She was one of the first little girls that I ever really mentored and took under my wing. And here we are, of course, having our dinner, which was always a part of Valerie's house. And here we are at the beginning. This is probably in the first few minutes before we started group. We brought the parents and the kids into one room and we told them what we were going to do tonight because many of them didn't really know what they were walking into. And so you can see they're eating and hanging out and they're kind of getting ready to learn like what we're getting ready to do here. And we brought them all into a group together, and then we said, we're going to now separate you, and the parents are going to go in one room and kids are going to go in the other. So we're definitely remember this family as well. Kaylee, her mom was a very good friend of one of our founding board members and was one of the reasons why she got involved. They had lost dad. She was in high school there. This is one of our original moms and me 10 years ago. This is me standing there sharing about what's happening, what we're getting ready to do. And this is one of the very first groups you can see. And the other thing to notice here is our memory wall. This was our original memory wall. We didn't even have strings. We just had boards there with a few families that had started, but it was always a central part of what we do. And we didn't have cushions back then. We just had these big bean bags that they sat on, which you can see here. And we quickly realized that was not going to be the best situation because they wanted to like throw these bean bags and twirl around, but look how little their bodies are on top of these bean bags. Plus, as the groups got bigger, we couldn't fit as many bean bags as we needed. This little girl here, Ruby, and her brother Nick are still involved with Valerie's house. They were a Naples family driving to Fort Myers, and her mom is still very involved with us all these years later, and both of them are on Valerie's house scholarships in college right now. This was our basically a hallway because the room was so small, the house was so small that we started with our first middle school group. And you can see that it's not even really private, but you can so already see on this first night, even with some of the nerves, what do we notice here were the smiles, the smiles of the kids, the connections being made, and just keeping it light, keeping it light. Diana was very instrumental. She was a local therapist in the community and still is in private practice, and she helped lead one of the first groups. I don't know what I'm doing here. It looks like I'm holding up some stickers, trying to command a room. of 7 and 8-year-olds, but man, aren't they engaged? I mean, they're all right there just surrounding us, wanting to be a part of this. This little girl, I remember her name was Emma, and she used to have visions that she would bring up in groups. She was only 6, of her dad, which she would say daddy in heaven, and it was just some of the most profound things I've ever heard a 6-year-old talk about. You can see using a lot of arts and crafts was always a big part of what we were going to do. This first activity, there are still some of these hearts hanging up on the memory wall today. These are those hearts that you see on the memory hall here at the Family is Forever home. The first activity was a heart where they stuck stickers on that reminded them of their loved one. You can see what they're doing here with these hearts. And then a closing circle, like we talk about, how we always close up and share. And you can see they each got their stuffed animal and their teddy bear that night, so that's why they were holding on to it for group. This little kid raising his hand. Original volunteers right here. Both of those are therapists, and this was our first employee of Valerie's house. Her name was Danielle, and she was an FGCU social work graduate, Masters of Social Work, and she helped tremendously when we were getting started. This girl used to work at a grief center in Tampa. She grew up in one, and then when we opened up Valerie's house here in Fort Myers, she volunteered to help us out because she had been at the one in Tampa. This was the original group of volunteers for the first group night ever, and I remember almost all of them. He was an FGCU professor. He taught the death and dying class. 2 of our board members here. Just such joy, such love. We were so proud of ourselves because we didn't know how many people were actually going to show on that first night, and then it was packed.